Norm Macdonald died, I think, yesterday. Ooh, that's what I do when I don't know what else to say. um, that's a big loss. The funniest thing he ever said, uh, is, in my opinion, he said a lot of funny things, but the funniest thing that I ever heard from him was that he kissed Relic. Remember that show, The Beachcombers? And there was the conniving Welsh character Relic with a speedboat. He had gone around. Yeah, well, Norm Macdonald's story is that he kissed him, and the context for it is even funnier because the way he explains it, and I don't think that he's lying. I don't think he made this up. I think this is what happened. Apparently, Relics. I'm getting Rex Murphy and Relic mixed up. But apparently, Relic wanted to start his own television show. And one of the people he interviewed was Norm Macdonald. And so I think maybe someone asked him, how did you end up kissing Relic? And he said, well, I was auditioning for a show, and people were treating Relic like sort of a god. And, to get a role on, he was going to put up the money. Norm Macdonald was a degenerate gambler. I think a lot of his later career was just financing that, probably. I mean, he loved comedy, but obviously. Anyway, so he said, well, you do what you got to do to get a role on a television show, don't you? And that involved kissing Relic. I don't know, man. He's the funniest guy. Okay, the second funniest thing that he ever did, and I swear to God, maybe this isn't the funniest thing, but he had Mike Tyson on his show a couple of times. But on one occasion, he called Mike Tyson a nigger. And, you're not supposed to say that word, right? And so Mike Tyson's not sensitive that way. I'll tell you something else that he said, actually, too. But, he sort of punched out at Norm Macdonald. And, I don't care how friendly you happen to be with Mike Tyson. You got to be careful to insult him. And, well, he's not sensitive about that. So he wasn't, maybe he's a little bit sensitive. So Mike Tyson, sort of gave him one, right? And it didn't take like 2 seconds. Actually, I think that Mike Tyson was whacking him with a magazine or something like that. And it didn't take Mike Tyson, more than a few seconds, I don't think, maybe 10 or 20, to work back into the conversation that Mike Tyson is a nigger. And Mike was a little violent. But, it just goes to show what good friends they were. And so I remember one time that I think that it was with Mike Tyson. I mean, this was Norm Macdonald. So I actually, my purpose is to discuss Justin Trudeau, but on another occasion, Mike Tyson was discussing gun bans, restrictions on the possession of firearms. And he said straight out, and this is something Mike Tyson definitely knows, he said, don't give up your guns, Whitey, because people have bad intentions for you. That's what Mike Tyson said. And as far as that sort of thing is concerned, I'll take Mike Tyson's word on that any day. You give up your guns, you're going to have nothing to protect yourself with. Unbelievable. So I was talking about the Rex Murphy Jordan Peterson interview. They're talking about the election. I think it's second or third time they spoke. It's a great interview. I think that there's a little bit of confusion around the idea of respect over the last maybe 5-10 years or something. I don't know. There's a bit of confusion about, should you respect a person because he's a human being, or maybe I'm not saying this right. Should you respect the person because of their humanity? I guess what I'm trying to say is that I agree that you should respect the humanity in any human being. So for that, they're entitled to respect. But any other sort of respect, they have to earn. I mean, it doesn't, it could be in any way. Taking good care of their dog, taking good care of their kids, voting. I was too late to vote. I didn't even vote. There's all kinds of reasons that you would respect a person. But there's all kinds of reasons you would disrespect them too. And, this sort of notion that you're going to get together and you're going to respect each other, I don't know. Like, okay, let's say that, just fantasy, if I had an opportunity to discuss things with anything, with Justin Trudeau, say a prolonged amount of time, I'd have to say, honestly, I don't respect you as a human being. I respect the effort that you took to get elected and to serve in that role, but the number of things that I disrespect you for far outnumber the things that I respect you for. So, look, I just don't respect you. So, let's say that it was it's pointless and nobody, but let's say that he was to sit down with Rex Murphy or Jordan Peterson. I don't care if Jordan Peterson does not respect Justin Trudeau. So why maintain the pretense? You're not going to be rude. You're going to try not to say anything that's a lie. You're going to try to be honest. Honestly speaking, I don't respect you. And I don't care if Jordan Peterson, or I'm sorry, what's his name? Justin Trudeau respects those guys. I don't value Justin Trudeau's opinion about anything. Don't be physically aggressive. Don't be needlessly insulting. Don't lie. Wouldn't it be nice? We're going to maintain a civil conversation, but I'm going to say I don't respect you as a human being. Straight up. So, let's go. Okay, so I'll tell you why I don't respect Justin Trudeau. It looks like he has a good chance at a minority government, so let's just go through it. Okay, he's bragging about the Afghani thing. He's talking more about bringing in refugees than he is Canadian citizens. It's hard not to get angry talking about him. It really is. The first responsibility of the Canadian government is to get Canadians out of Afghanistan. And he's stuck with the 40,000 number already. I haven't seen any of them talk about how are you going to vet them. What he'll be bringing in is fairly elite members of Afghani society who've already grown accustomed to Canadian largesse. A lot of them are going to be facing a very difficult time with the Taliban because of their cooperation with Canada. I don't know. If I was the Taliban and I had people in Afghanistan that were collecting money from the Canadian government and had insights into the way that the Canadian government run, I wouldn't kill them. You'd want information of it. Maybe you'd want to torture them. And of course that's something that should be taken into consideration. But the lack of interest just in getting Canadian citizens out is absolutely astounding. Absolutely unbelievable. I don't think I've heard him mention it once. You know, the refugee rush, no, all kinds of people said he was doing it too fast. I mean, the thing about him is that there's such a list. My list, this could take a while. I've got 75 reasons why I don't like him. And each one of those things could be expanded on for an hour. The way that he screwed up the thing with Syria, you could talk about forever. He thought it was disgusting that anybody should have an idea that, hey, maybe we should get the Yazidis out. Maybe there should be like a religious test. You know, those were the most abused people in the country. They happened to be Yazidis. Girls. He fought a long time to prevent them from getting any special consideration whatsoever. Which reminds me of UNRWA. UNRWA is supposedly a charitable educational institution in Palestine, absolutely connected with terrorism. And Canada probably was paying them before, but they were declared a terrorist organization by the United States, maybe by the international community, and the Trudeau government continued to give them money. UNRWA, UNWRA, UNRWA. And they even admitted, yeah, part of this is going for terrorism. So they admitted that. That's against the law. The Canadian government can't knowingly give money to terrorist organizations. There was, I don't know, 16, 20 hours of video about how he should just be charged for that. He's used Canadian tax dollars to pay an Islamic terror organization. They probably did some good. They probably educated some kids. But what did they educate those kids in? Sorry, but that's not acceptable. Keeps coming back to Trump. Trump was nominated and deserved 2 different Nobel Peace Prizes for the peace that he brought to the Middle East. It was impossible. Everybody thought it was impossible. He just came in there. He said, okay, what we do is we just kind of ignore the Palestinians, get along between ourselves. This is a problematic country. We'll help to save citizens, to save people from the grips of Islamic terrorism. But it's not going to be the main focus. We're just going to get along with each other. You don't fund them, and we can get along. I think that's what he said. I think that's what was the deal. Israel said, okay, we'll get along with Egypt. You just quit sending money to terrorists. We can settle our thing. That'll be great. If he wasn't Trump, he would have been given a Nobel Prize, and he should have been. SNC-Lavalin. So you have to, at some point, you have to go through it fast. Rule of law, separation of powers, independence of the judiciary violated. I think that's probably a crime too. So I got a list of 69. They're not all necessarily related. Adoringly evangelized Fidel Castro when he died. I wonder if he'll put out a word for Norm Macdonald. Anyway, he evangelized Fidel Castro, a man who, no doubt, cuckolded his father. I mean, there's speculation about whether or not Fidel Castro is Justin Trudeau's father. And, my guys looked at it's not physically possible, but the chances that Fidel Castro and his mom screwed, very good. Fidel Castro bragged about sleeping with 3 women a day.